Hello, brothers. Today, I'm bringing you a new piece from Old Blacksmith. 2 peak versions with dense end impact. This model also has a dense and ultra-dense version, which is ultra-dense. Take a look at the 0.6 version, and the 0.9 is dense. And here it says 0.6 for ultra-dense separation. In other words, observe that ultra-dense orbits tend to be flatter than densely packed orbits. It's already somewhat similar to flat ones. This phrase still has a jagged edge, which is almost something I've watched on Quivideo. Then, I also took over what the Old Blacksmith had before. Let me introduce the peak version to everyone. This phrase is the earliest version of peak. Also used in stainless steel chocolates and Tylon chocolates. There's also a leather plate on top of the aluminum alloy chocolate. This is the first model with a terminal impact. But I think this one has the worst effect. Then there are 2 new end impact models. Then let me show you the single track sound for everyone. This is the sound of a regular pig version of a single track. I prefer its dual track version. This is the old wooden end impact. Because I actually think it's a bit more of a standard car, a regular carry. It's just not as fun as the new dual track model. Then the previous bosses had dual tracks that were fun, but the terminal collision was a bit much. Not particularly fun. This is a new version with a dense end impact. You can also tell that the grains are quite obvious. The feedback and graininess of the tracks are quite noticeable. This is the new model's ultra-dense end impact. Actually, both of these models have a noticeable suction feel at the end of the impact. However, the 2 intermediate tracks are different. This middle track is almost flattened, very soft, and it's very Shuma too. Of course, there will also be feedback from the track, not just long rides. There is no track feedback at all. However, the feedback from this track is relatively weak. The edges are smooth and smooth. Actually, this one is my favorite of the 2. Because I think this one is. Actually, it can be used with other toys. Compared to the tracks, it's no longer ultra-dense. Feels super, ultra-dense. Okay, brothers, here's a summary. Actually, it's quite difficult to make a purchase decision. Because everyone has a different board in their hands, right? Let me explain it to you one by one. Actually, at first, I was quite recommending it. This is the Gao family stainless steel paired with this brass inner pot. And there's another combination. It's a pick board with double pig grooves. And together, if you have brothers like me, already purchased elevated stainless steel, brass inner liner, then add a pick plate and double pig grooves. Actually, I don't recommend buying the secret manual again. If you want to experience it, you can try this ultra-dense one. It's about buying one item. If there is a brother, he himself is. The stainless steel, Tylon, or aluminum ones also come with double bead slots. Actually, I don't recommend this either, because I think the dual bead slot and the peak version actually feel better than the dense ones. I also recommend UltraMe. Of course, what else is there? It means if there is only one brother. The inner liner is brass and Gaojia stainless steel. He doesn't have a single pick board. At this point, I actually recommend the dense style, because he doesn't need to coordinate his outfit. Just like this traditional pick version, it has the same double bead slot. The effect of its single bead slot is actually similar to that of the double bead slot. However, it may not be as effective as the double bead slot. But I don't think the gap is that big. The gap isn't very large, and it's quite dense. So, regarding budget and various aspects, I think, for example, for high-end stainless steel, buy one piece plus a yellow worm inner liner, then just buy a separate compact edition. If many of you have already had lots of chocolate, Or if you have it, it's a double pig slot pick version. My recommendation is actually dense and ultra dense. If it's dense, you don't need to think too much and just cook it intensely. Therefore, each group and individual has different purchasing methods. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments later. Another point is that both new inner pots only need to be paired with single beads. No double bead slots or any beaded springs are needed. No need for seasoning, just the factory beads and springs are perfectly suitable. Of course, there may be other ways to style it, but that's also fine. Brothers, interact with me in the comments. And then there's the double bead setup. Actually, I tested it during my live streams, but I didn't test it in the video. There is hardly any difference. The effect of double beads versus single beads. So a single pearl is enough. That's it, bye brothers.